season, Johan Santana has thrown the first no-hitter in New York Mets history.
This is Jay Horwitz. Thank you for coming on the latest edition of Amazin Mets Alumni podcast. And I'm really honored to have 4 participants in Mets history. And I don't think you guys have been together since June 1st, 2012. That was the day Mr. Santana became the only pitcher in Mets history to pitch a no-hitter, 8-0 over the Cardinals. Johan did something that day that Dwight Gooden, Tom Seaver, Jerry Koosman, Nolan Ryan, David Coe didn't do. Next up is Josh Thole, who was a catcher that night, and up until the night before, Josh didn't even know he was going to be in New York. He had a concussion, was in Buffalo, and just got there almost the day of the game, and Mr. Collins was fortuitous enough to put him in the lineup. And then we come Mr. Mike Baxter, who in the 7th inning, with his career, without regard to injury, crashed into the wall, caught a line drive hit by Mr. Molina to save the no-hitter. And last but not least is the manager of the team, Terry Collins, who I remember walking Terry to the press conference room after that. I know you were happy and thrilled, but how agonizing was it for you as the pitch count got up to 134, what to do?
Well, first of all, as I told Johan when the game was over, he starting in about the 7th inning, I went to him each inning and I said, "How you doing?" And he said, "I'm fine. I'll be fine. Don't worry about it. I'm fine." And that's why I told him, I think in the 8th inning, well, you're my hero, man, because, I knew he was on the brink of history. He deserved to be out there, but I also knew, Jay, the importance of him on our club and the history of his injury, coming back from that injury, and he fought back all the way. But I felt he deserved it. And he knew himself better than anybody, how he was going to feel. And that's why I left him in the game. But, it was tough for me to sit there and just watch him build up I wanted to do a couple of those 1-pitch outs, hit that change at the shortstop, do something. But God, when he'd throw a ball, my heart would sink. And of course, I got Dan Worthington standing next to me. I can hear Dan mumbling, "Oh my God, his pitch count's getting up there." But it was really tough, but I was so proud of him. And, and again, I look back now, and as tough as it was for me to watch, and especially when the game was over, I've now come to live with it and said, "Hey, you know what? I did the right thing. I did to let this guy go out there. He deserved to be out there. He deserved to pitch the no-hitter." And I'm really, really happy that it came through. And, he's a big part of history there.
Johan, was there any point in the game where you thought you might have to come out, or where where you were coming out?
At that point, I wasn't even thinking about anything. I think to the point of what Terry just said, as a player, you always want to accomplish something special. As a manager, you definitely want to accomplish something special. But I believe by the 5th inning, Terry was desperate for me to give up a hit, so he had excuse to take me out of the game because the thing was, coming back from surgery, there's a lot of things you go through. Pitch count is one of them. You have to make sure every single pitch it's well documented or whatever you want to call it. But when you're competing and when you're in the situation that we were in, you don't think about those things. I never, in my mind, think about, it's 5 and die, or 100 pitches, or 80 pitches, or 75 pitches. This is not spring training. We're here to play. We're here to win. And that's the approach I had every time I took them out.
Josh, did you think it was going to be a special night? I mean, in the early innings of the game, what were your thoughts on how Johan was throwing? And as the game progressed, what were your thoughts?
It's a good question, Jay. Early in the bullpen, when we were first warming up to come into the game, I wasn't sure we were going to get out of the 3rd inning. And then once we got about into the 5th inning, you don't even pay attention as if there's a no-hitter going. And then all of a sudden in the 6th inning, it really dawned on me. And at that moment, I figured we definitely had a shot for something special. Again, as long as we kept the pitch count down.
Mike, from you playing left field at the time, what were your thoughts as the game progressed? Did you look at the scoreboard? Be about to lean off that game. Did you think it was going to be a special night? And how did you look how Yo was throwing?
Felt like a normal game for a long part, because there was some traffic, and like Josh and Yo are talking about it. I don't think it was it wasn't super clean early. There was some walks, there was base runners. So you kind of had a normal rhythm of a game. And then, like we've all been parts of no hitters or games that have no hitter potential. And I think you look up in the 6th and the 7th, you feel the buzz of the crowd and you do identify something is happening here. And that's what I would say. As we got deeper into that game, you could feel Citi Field kind of come alive, and it was almost like The Secret. Nobody wanted to say it, but everybody felt it.
Were you aware it got late in the game that when Mets never had a no-hitter and you were Verge, how did you think about it a lot, or what were your thoughts you got to like the 7th, 8th inning?
No, not at all. Like Mike said, the beginning of the game, it was just another game. I give up some walks and stuff, and then you still have base runners, and then there's a lot of things you have to do in the game. But I think as the game was progressing, you get to the 6th inning, and that's when you start seeing around the dugout. Everybody start walking away from you. They don't want to be close to you, and then you're like, oh, whatever. That was the kind of approach that I had. To me, it is what it is. Things happen for a reason, so it happened to be that night. But as the game was going deeper in the game, that's when you start realizing, and then now you go one hitter at a time, because you knew at that point, if you give up one hit, it's over. I knew that from every single at bat that I took from the 6th inning on. So I just took one pitch at a time, hoping that they put the ball in play. My teammates will make a play, and that's actually how everything ended up.
Terry, did you speak to Josh and Dan a lot during the game to get a feel, or did you kind of leave Johan alone? Do you remember, did you have a lot of talks with Josh? How's he throwing, or what was your philosophy during the game?
I don't know if I said much to Josh. I mean, Dan and I talked throughout the game, and, in about the 5th or 6th inning, I asked Dan, I said, what do you think? He said, you got to leave him alone. So when he came in off the field in the 7th inning, it was probably the first time I went and said, hey, how you feeling? Because if he said, hey, I'm starting to get tired, he was out, a no hitter or not. Because, I knew how important he is for the ball club. Was not going to get this guy hurt. And so, when I went down to him and said, how you doing? He said, I'm fine. And then in the 8th innings, that's when he said, Terry, I'm fine. I'll be okay. Just, I'll let you know. So, yeah. And I will tell you, either I wanted fast outs or I wanted somebody to get a hit, because I just knew, I knew that I was putting a lot of strain on this guy.
What were your thoughts, guys, when Johan walked for Cal in the 8th inning?
Being behind the plate, trying to navigate this with, especially deep in the game, of understanding we had minimum pitches to work with. I mean, Terry's not going to let him out there for 150. There was a little wiggle room to when you fall behind 2-0, 3-0, just to kind of move the line to the next hitter and try to get a double play with that. That was my thought. That was my thought behind the plate.
When you get to those kind of situations, they're desperate to get a hit, to swing. So they're going to swing. The question is, what kind of pitch will you throw to them? So to me, at that point, my fastball and my changeup was kind of the same speed, right? So I was like, hey, listen. So every single pitch that I threw with confidence, more than trying to make a perfect pitch or anything, because there was not. I mean, I knew I didn't have my best stuff. Not only that night, but at that particular time. So it was I was just hoping for them to put the ball in play, get out of this inning quick, and move to the next one. And that's exactly how it worked out, even though I threw a lot of pitches.
Mike, let's go to the 7th inning. One out in the 7th inning. Molina hits the ball to you in left field. You remember what you were thinking? Did you see the ball come to you? Did you think you had a chance, or what was your feeling as you went towards the wall?
Yeah, I thought it was a ball that should be caught. Off the bat, I think you're out there enough. You kind of get an idea of balls that are catchable, not catchable, and routine. And I wouldn't say it was necessarily routine, but I definitely think it's a ball that needs to be caught in that league. And then obviously just go after it. And in my case, I kind of stumbled at the end of it. And I think anytime you're in a game, you want to make a play. And I think that gets magnified, especially in those settings. And like I said earlier, I think, as a group, as a team, one thing too, it hasn't come up yet, but that was a really kind of fun time with our group of guys. If you look back at the beginning of that season and the trend that we were on, there was a great kind of rhythm, and we were playing some good ball, man. And I think this was one of those moments where it really fit what was going on within the group. And when you get a chance to be part of a no-hitter, of course, I think everybody's saying, I'm going to make the play. I want the ball. I want to make a play. But on that specific ball, off the bat, it was a ball that should be caught. It just kind of got tripped up.
I mean, it was a hell of a play. Johan, Josh, and Terry, what was your reaction when you saw Mike crumple to the ground? And forget, the no-hitter was preserved. What did you feel when you saw Mike hit the ground?
Well, I tell you one thing, from the mound, that lifted me up because he made a great play, and I was like, maybe we have a chance, to do something special. But at the same time, I feel bad because I didn't know what kind of injuries he was having at the time, and then they have to take him out of the field. So I was worried about it, and at the same time, I took that as a motivation to step up and trying to finish and make it up for him too, because even though it was an unbelievable play, overall for that situation. So to me, that was very important. And I was like, I have to step up and I'm going to finish it. I have to do this for my teammates. Because at the end of the day, it was a team effort. And then every single one of us deserve a lot of credit because we did it together. It's not just me having the best day of my life, because it wasn't like that. I think every single one of us had a lot to do with it.
Josh and Terry, what did you think when you saw Mike hit the ground?
Well, first of all, he was what happened to him. That's why we had I thought every no hitter, there's somebody comes up big, and that was a big, huge play. But I also knew that wall was cement behind him. And when he hit that going as hard as he was going, that he was going to get hurt. And when I got out there, I mean, but to hold on to the ball after he hit the wall I thought, geez, what an amazing play. And certainly, Johan, I've seen the clips later. I mean, hands went up in the air and, celebrating it. And so, that's for me, that was, Mike had a huge part of that no hitter, because that was a tough play. And as we all know, when that wall is coming, only the brave are going to go after it. And Mike went after it and made a great play.
How about you, Josh?
Yeah. I echo the same thing. I knew he hit the wall hard from behind home plate, and then watching him kind of walk off and his arm kind of not in a sling, but Ray Ramirez holding his arm. It definitely it hit home a little bit, and kind of what Johan said is, and Terry, is everybody makes a great play in these no hitters. I mean, you just see it night after night when they do it. And that was kind of the pivotal moment for us, I think, as a group to finish it up for Mike.
Mike, at that point in your career, Mets claimed you went for the Padres, your local guy from Flushing, and you really put your career in jeopardy after that. I mean, without any disrespect, after the injury, you really got a lot of playing time. It really wasn't the same for you after that. Was it? Any regrets at all, or how things turned out? I mean, you did what you had to do.
No regrets. That's just baseball, man. And Yo referenced it earlier. When you're out there playing, you're just playing to win. If you play long enough, you get hurt. If you're lucky, you don't. But all of us on this call have dealt with injuries, and that's what you get when you're a professional baseball player. So, I think when you look back at a career, you just hope that you played as hard as you could. You played to win every night. And then, some of us have great success. Others have, good careers. And, I don't have any regrets about it. I don't know how it impacted, my future, performance. But it was a night, of history that I'm very grateful to be a part of.
Let's go to ninth inning. You get the first two guys out. Freeze comes up, a pretty good hitter. What was your feeling when called third strike, game's over? First no hitter in over 8,000 games.
Unbelievable. I was so far up, not just because of we just accomplished, as a team, and me personally, but what we did for the whole organization and the city, because I knew at that point what that meant to New York, and for Mets fans. And then to me, when Josh came over, to me, I couldn't believe we did it, because it was so hard to do throughout the whole game, just to survive through the whole game against the previous world champs. And not only that, but with my coming back from surgery, with all the stuff, the game prior to that one, I pitched a whole game, all those things were together. But I was so proud of everything that we accomplished that I was just full of joy and happiness. I mean, that's how I was all the time. But that particular night, it was unbelievable. Going through the whole thing and to celebrate just one game, like we won the World Series, it was unbelievable.
Josh, what were your feelings, Josh?
Well, Gary Cedarstrom was the home plate umpire, and I remember catching the last pitch on the swing and miss, and all I could think about was turn around to show him the ball to make sure I didn't miss anything, and then the party was on. It was again a moment in my life that I will never forget, and I always tell people it's like whatever happens in your career, nobody can ever take something like that away from anybody that was part of that game.
Terry, sign of relief for you?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, again, I was so proud of him, because first of all, to pitch a no-hitter, and just like Yo started out, he said in the beginning, he didn't have his best stuff that night. So to be able to maneuver through that lineup, which is a very, very good team, and get to the ninth inning, it was so rewarding for him. And I was so happy for him. And, I will tell you, I've seen a lot, in the minor leagues, I've had no-hitters, but to think that in the pitching rich history of the New York Mets, this is the only guy to do that. And held up today. It may go forever. Who knows? But it just is a compliment to how hard he worked to get back. And then to pitch a no-hitter was certainly topped it all off.
Mike, what I remember with you? I remember going into the training room in the 7th or 8th inning. Your arm was in a cast, and you said to me, "Do I need you for the interviews?" And I was really hesitant to even ask you to come back to the locker room, but I knew you were in a great deal of pain. And you came back, you knew you were part of the game, and you stood in front of your locker in obvious pain and did the interviews. How was it from your perspective, Mike, that night in the end?
I was so thrilled that I finished it off. That was just amazing. And if there was one regret, it's that I wasn't able to be out on the field, and celebrate because I was stuck out. But the party in the clubhouse was memorable, and it's just, you just want to remember nights like that. It's why you play. It's just moments like that are unscripted. It's what makes sports great. So it's just unforgettable.
I remember your speech. I think Jeff Wilpon gave you a big bottle of whiskey or something, and he came in and thanked the guys, and it was really a very touching scene. And you got everybody involved in the celebration. You remember that part of it?
Yeah, I remember, tonight we made part of history,
right.
And it was one of the best thing ever happened. Like I said, if I would have thought or picked a day to throw no hitter, I would lie to you. There's just no way. It just happened as we were going along the game. But to celebrate with all of them, it was great. It was a great feeling. I remember in that 7th inning when Mike crashed into the wall, right after I went to the training room to make sure, to see how he was doing, to the point that I forgot that I was on deck, on the on-deck circle the following inning, because I had to hit. And that was one of the few times, not to say the only time, that I didn't want to hit, right, in my career, because every time I wanted to hit. But that particular moment, when everybody was waiting, I was like, what's happening here? And then I walked in, everybody was happy. We were celebrating. I didn't go back home until 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, because all the interviews that we have to do, and I couldn't believe it, but the most important thing is that we did it together as a team. And like Josh said, nobody will take that away from us. Never.
Can I digress 1 second? A baseball question to each of you guys. Last night, Spencer Turnbull to the Tigers pitched a 5th no-hitter, maybe in 6 if you count Madison Bumgarner, 7 innings. How do you count for the fact that probably around 40 games or so, we've already had 5 no-hitters already this season? That's crazy, isn't it? Maybe you guys take that. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I'll tell you my thoughts on it, and that is, Jay, the days of guys, when you're part of you're getting no hit, all of a sudden, all you're thinking about, I got to put the ball in play. I got to put the ball in play. Those thoughts are gone now. that the thoughts today is I got to hit the ball over the fence. I mean, and they don't cut their swings down. They don't try to go the other way. They don't go up there and say, hey, look, I'm seek out a pitch and put a good swing on it. It's, and right now with all of the data that they're being given, they're going up there with doubt in their mind. Hey, am I going to get this pitch or am I going to get that pitch? And, that's where I think today the game has changed so much that, it's not just about put it in play and see what happens. They're being told, hey, look, we've got to put every swing's got to be, an aggressive swing. And I think, that's why I say what Johan did against the world champions is unbelievable, because back then those guys sprayed the ball all over the place. And so I just think right now what's happening, you're going to see more no hitters this year.
And not only that, I want to add something to it, because I've been watching games and stuff, and the game has changed. There's no question about it. But to the point of what Terry's saying, all the shifting that is happening now, you see a great play from time to time, but most of the times you're trying to get ahead of a ball is going to be hit either in the gap or somewhere down the line or in the gap in the infield. So that makes a big difference too. And the other thing on that is that with the pitch count and the way everything is played, you go pitching matchups now more than, hey, take the game as deep as you can and battle through it. Sometimes you're going to see pitchers that only can face hitters twice, because by the third time, they're going to get hit. So you get somebody else. And then that's what you're going to see. You might see no hitters from now on that are combined, and it won't be something strange. I think that will be something that will happen from time to time.
Josh and Mike, what do you guys think?
Personally, I think guys are getting rewarded right now for swing and misses, right? As Terry mentioned, it's either over the fence or it's a punch out because of all the exit velocity stuff. I had played last year, was my last year playing, and that's the conversation is swing and miss versus put the ball in play at a low exit velocity. And I that's not the type of player that I was. That was hard. It was hard for me to adapt. And as I told you guys earlier, that's probably why I'm mowing grass and cutting trees down right now.
Mike, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, it's real. And what it's going to be is a cycle. It's going to be a cycle of skill development, because, the young player right now that's just entering the pro ranks in the minor leagues, if he's coming out of high school or some colleges, they're being taught this. So it's going to take a while to flush itself out of the system, but I promise you it'll come back. It's not sustainable the way it is. The offense is at an all-time low. The pitching has been weaponized to a level that it's really, really far ahead of what the approach is at the plate. So, just like every cycle of baseball, every team's looking for an edge. I've been saying it for a few years. I think, the teams that are going to get out in front of this are going to recognize the value of more of a traditional kind of offensive mindset and find a harmony between some of the new data, some of the new technology, but really start to rely on some wisdom of people that have an idea of how to attack a pitcher.
Yeah. Speaking of this, I know Josh is a good friend of Kevin Pillar. They have been talking about the last couple of days that pitchers, they were too much on velocity. A lot of times they don't know where the ball is going. Do you think the game right now that is there's too much velocity, not enough finesse, pitching? I mean, you think that's a bad tendency too now? Yeah.
Well, this is what I'm gonna say. Look back in history. You have to look back in history, because when you're talking about speed, maybe you're talking present, future, but when you look in the past, I really believe, and I still to this point believe on changing speeds. Because keeping hitters off balance. That's what made it for me. So keeping hitters off balance, it's an important thing, because then they're not comfortable. Now, how you keep hitters off balance by changing speeds, and then you're gonna see that's a pitch that you use a lot. So when you look back in history, you're gonna see that great pitchers have not only a good fastball, but it has a second and a third pitch. That sometimes that pitch become maybe the pitch to go to. When you have in that situation. Now with everything all the tracking that they have, the selection of the pitch is made even before the ball is thrown. I mean, or before the game is even played. That's what I meant. Whereas when you are on the mound and you pitching, and that's the difference from being a middle of the rotation to a top starter to back of the rotational starter. You take charge. And that's why your language and your communication with your catcher is important, because your catcher needs to have the ability to understand what's happening with you, how you feel, how he's catching all those pitches and what the pitches are doing. Because just because tracking or a scouting report is saying that at that situation you got to throw a fastball open in or down and away, it might not be your best pitch at that time. So you have to have that communication and the feeling as a pitcher. That's how I did it throughout my whole career. And I guarantee you, if you look back, you're going to ask a lot of pitchers and they're going to tell you the same thing. Nowadays, I've seen pitchers that are waiting for somebody else to tell them what to do instead of taking charge right away. And catchers are always looking in there to see what they're going to do. You know, I mean, I might be old school or whatever you want to call it, but I've seen it. I've seen them both.
Terry, Josh, and Mike, will you guys have an opinion on that? Or?
Well, I think Yo, number one, he's absolutely correct, totally correct in what he just said. You've got, I've always believed this. I think one of the mistakes we make in baseball is we try to make everybody something they're not. You are taught you have skills, so you have to maximize what you do best. And we spend so much time trying to get everybody well-rounded. In the game today, with the velocities increased the way they are, everybody pitches up in the zone now. Because of the swing pass now, where they want to get the ball in the air, they can't get to that pitch. For years ago, that ball was already up there. All you had to do is put a swing on it and backspin, the ball backspun. So in today's game, and Yo's right. Hey, look, Jake DeGrom, does he use his slider very much anymore? Does he throw many changeups? No, he relies now on throwing 100 the entire game up in the zone. And so the fact that he can locate it gives him some success. But so when you got guys that are throwing that hard who don't know where it's going, yeah, sometimes it's hard to hit, but that's where the danger comes in. I just, when I saw the pitch the other day, and especially in that situation, we know we didn't do it on purpose, but you're going to start seeing guys getting hit more and more because pitching in is now the thing to do. And I had a long conversation with Sandy Koufax one time, and who never pitched in. He didn't believe it. That's where you get hurt. If you don't get it in, leave it on the plate. That's where you get hurt. And I think what Yo said is exactly. And if Mike's talking about cycles, and I think hopefully he's right. The Sickler's got to go back, and we've got to get guys to start changing speeds. And some of the greatest pitchers that I ever saw, they subtracted. They didn't try to add. And that's and I think if the game gets back to that, the fans enjoy it more. I mean, I understand they love home runs. I get that. But boy, it's tough to, at night you sit there and watch games and swing and miss, swing and miss, swing and miss. And I think, the game for me, it's sometimes it's tough to watch.
Josh,
I have the same feeling, Terry. I do. It is sometimes painful to watch, to piggyback off of Johan about taking accountability and also changing speeds. They have these things, the wristbands now that you don't call the game. The wristbands call the game, and sometimes it tells you never to throw a guy an off-speed pitch. But what is hitting or what is pitching is changing speeds, changing eye levels, and you're told not to do that, so you just don't do it, and that's frustrating. It is. It's hard.
Mike, what do you think?
I think, if you look back at the sinker slider era, kind of when Josh and I were hitters in that league. The hitters try to jump out in front of that, and obviously you could develop a path to, hit the ball hard, hit the ball out of the park. And what happened then, I think both sides of the ball, right? The pitcher's reaction to that was, all right, we're going to elevate and we're going to pitch with power. And then the hitters on the other side of that, just as an industry, I don't think anybody's really recognized that, when you prioritize power as a development of a hitter, you're just losing the skill to develop barrel skill and to be able to deliver your barrel to multiple pitches. So both sides of the equation are chasing power. The pitchers are getting the reinforcement that, yes, this works. And the hitters have not made that adjustment yet. And as more and more hitters are developing at a young age to try to impact the ball as hard as possible with minimal field to, really deliver their barrel first, I think you've seen a stunt in hitting development, and it's really kind of showing now years later at the major league level. And until we get back to the basics of understanding the first step in developing a hitter is teaching him how to use his hands to deliver the barrel properly, to become a marksman. And then the power will come later. I don't see the hitting side of this equation taking great strides.
Hey guys, before we wrap up, I just want to give everybody an update what everybody's doing. Terry, as you alluded to, doing TV work for Fox and SNY. Do you enjoy it? I mean, that part of it?
Oh yeah. I'm not here to criticize anybody, but I think with my experience and what, I try to relate to the fans. This is not an easy game. And I used to tell the players all the time, if this was easy, we'd be watching other people play it. I mean, these guys are so exceptionally talented. So to continue to be able to watch and be able to analyze, it's a lot of fun for me.
Yeah. And Mike, I know the head recruiter, hitting coach at Vanderbilt, top by the Commodores. You enjoyed the college game, Mike, in a couple of years?
Yeah, I do. And I cannot speak about what's going on in the big leagues. I think my perspective is kind of telling you guys more what I see at the amateur levels, where I see kids kind of, maybe prioritizing the wrong things. I don't know enough about what's actually going on in the big leagues anymore to be a good source of reference on it. But
can I ask you about one of your pitchers, Mr. Jack Leiter, son of Mr. Al? I hear Al is a frequent visitor to watch you guys play a lot. You ever get to talk with Al at all?
Yeah, Al's here. He doesn't miss it. So he's got the charts going. He's got it all. So he's doing great. He's a wonderful kid. He's a great competitor like his dad, and he's got a very, very bright future. We're happy.
Yeah.
He's here.
Yeah, you got a great program. Best of luck going forward in the playoffs and everything. And Josh, and you're in the media, Mr. Thole. You have your own podcast. And why don't you tell the fans what your name of your podcast is?
Yeah, so I actually just been kind of helping kind of co-host Ricky Romero's podcast, and it's called Let's Go Ricky Row. So we do that once a week, and then I've been doing a little radio stuff out of Toronto off and on. So I think once the dust settles here and I can get my kids organized and all of that, I also kind of want to follow the path that Terry's heading. I do enjoy the radio and the TV gigs. It's fun to watch a game and give your perspective of to remember exactly how hard this game is.
Yeah, and Johan, I know you did a little TV work with the Twins. You ever do that again, or you think you might want to do coaching at some point? I know you're taking care of the kids at Fort Myers. What are your thoughts on?
I tell you what, my doors are always going to be open. I think staying within baseball somehow is something that I might do in the future. I had a really good time with the Twins doing the TV and screen training, and hopefully, in the future we'll do more games. I'm just hanging out home with my family and my kids, and then for the first time ever, I had that experience as a coach because I had a chance to be the middle school pitching coach for my son's team at school. So
how'd they do? Good.
Okay, we got second place.
Oh, first loser.
Well, I started the right way. I mean, nobody started around the top. Okay, so but I'll tell you one thing. It was fun. It was fun because not only as a parent, to see your son in the game. My son is not the best player by any means, but he wants to play. But the thing is, the other kids, they didn't even know who I was, which I was like, perfect. This is perfect. But to teach them how to play and help them how to get better, help them realize, put that in their heads, how you approach the game. That regardless of the level of the game, whether it's in the big leagues or in high school, college or middle school, backyard, still a game, and you gotta have fun. So to me, it was a great experience, and I'm looking forward to. So I started as a coach. I don't know how far I'm gonna go, but Terry, I already started somewhere, So middle school, good. So we go from there.
Well, guys, this has been a big thrill for me. It's really a thrill to all you guys to always be a part of Mets history. June 1st, 2012 will never be forgotten by any Mets fan or baseball fan. I want to thank you guys for your time. Be healthy, be safe, and hopefully I get to see you guys soon one day down the road.
Hey, guys, great to see you. Really great to see you.
Yeah.
Thanks for putting this together,
guys.
Yeah.
Hey,
nice work.
Hey, Thole, remember this. It is not for everybody. We love you guys. I love you, man.
Thank you, everybody. It's great
All right,
seeing
good to
everybody.
see
Be
you
well.
guys.